It's like the main idea, pros and cons, different types of programs like district, statewide, national, international, why we came to start doing testing versus just essay. Are you videotaping me? You must.
Greetings, fellow cohort mates. We are here to teach you about standardized testing. We found the material to be rather dry, so we decided that you might appreciate if we contrasted standardized testing with interpretive dance.
Appendix B.
Appendix B, standardized testing.
The second half.
Are we starting?
Why?
Why standardized testing?
Why?
Why?
Well, standardized tests allow for a large number of students to respond to the same or similar sets of test items under approximately the same conditions. For one, they benefit from test scores that can be used to compare classrooms, schools, districts, states, and countries. Comparable scores help determine relatively strong or weak students, resulting in the possible increased allocation of resources in those needed. Scores averaged across students within schools or districts can determine the effectiveness of certain programs. And that's why.
There are two different ways to score standardized tests. The first, norm-referenced scores, communicate information about how students rank in achievement. Students' scores are compared to the scores of other students who took the same test under similar conditions. The other type of scoring system is the criterion-referenced scores, which communicate how each student's test score compares to a preset standard of acceptable performances. These scores determine a student's individual strengths and weaknesses.
Types of testing programs. 3 types of testing programs exist. First, college admissions testing. The college boards, or the SATs as they are known, were the first national college admissions testing programs in the country. The earliest tests were essay-based assessments. Due to a huge increase in the volume of national test taking, the college boards switched to multiple choice in the 1930s to increase efficiency in scoring. In the 1940s, the ACT, or ACT, assessment program became the second college admissions test offered. The second type is district-wide testing. These are commercially published, norm-referenced, standardized achievement tests, and they are the most commonly used assessments in district-wide programs. Finally, statewide testing. These tests stem from the accountability movement of the 1960s. They are generally commercially available, standardized tests that were considered by administrators to be objective and believable because they were created by a third party. These tests were used to evaluate school programs to weed out schools which were failing. There's more.
Those are assessments.
Okay, well, let's just keep going, and I'll cut it.
National assessment. The National Assessment of Educational Progress, or NAEP. NAEP is a federally funded testing program that periodically samples student achievement across the country. It also tracks the changes in achievement patterns and the performance of 9, 13, and 7-year-olds, and young adults are measured twice a year. The results reported by geographic region, gender, ethnic background are used by policymakers to inform their decisions. International assessment. Nations around the world collaborate periodically in competitive assessments to determine their standing in relation to student achievement.
How are standardized tests developed? First, learning targets are clarified. Test makers conduct thoughtful studies of valued academic achievement standards that students are to reach. Then, targets are translated into assessments, Aaron's favorite thing in the world. Targets are matched with assessment methods. Historically, written responses were not used, but that is changing. Now, short answer essays are occasionally used for content area tests. Recent research and development is being directed toward performance assessments, which are labor-intensive to conduct in large numbers. Third, test items are developed. Test writers are trained in basic principles of sound test construction, and once going through training, they must demonstrate appropriate proficiency before being approved to contribute test questions and other items. Then, the test is assembled and evaluated for appropriateness. Once developed, the test is reviewed by test development experts, content area and experts in minority groups for accuracy, appropriateness, and bias. Then it is pre-tested or pilot tested. Classrooms, schools, and districts are recruited to conduct the pre-test/pilot test. Finally, the publisher administers the test to establish norms. When the test is ready, the publisher launches a national campaign to recruit districts to be norming samples. Norm districts volunteer. When students take the standardized test, their scores are compared to a norm student score that was recruited by the publisher.
Interpretation of commonly used test scores. Users need to be able to understand the different kinds of scores and what they mean to be able to responsibly interpret them to parents or to students. Tests are scored in two ways: by the mastery of each standard, which means a student needs to answer a certain number or percentage of questions right to be judged as having mastered the standard, or by the composite mastery score, which means students are tested for mastery in broad domains such as reading or mathematics. Scores from each section are pooled to create a composite score.
There are 5 types of scores. There's the raw score, which is the number right or the correct. Or there's the percentage correct, which is the raw score divided by total test items. Then there's the percentile score, which is also called the percentile rank, i.e., a student with a percentage rank of 85 outscored 85% of the norm group students. Standard 9, based on percentage rank, it is the less precise score scale. Then there is, finally, the grade equivalent scores. These can be easily misinterpreted, comparing a student's scores to that of the norm group students at specified grade levels.
Responsibilities of the educator as related to standardized testing. As educators, we need to have mastery of the achievement targets that our students are expected to master, and prepare them by providing genuine learning opportunities. We need to take professional responsibility when administering a test and follow the prescribed testing instructions. We need to encourage student self-confidence, help them by preparing them to be as comfortable as possible with standardized testings, provide plenty of practice tests.
In summary, standardized testing allows students' performance to be compared across classrooms, schools, districts, states, and countries. There are 2 types of scoring: norm and criterion referenced. The 5 types of standardized testing are college admission testing, district-wide testing, statewide testing, national assessment, and international assessment. Standardized tests are carefully developed and evaluated by experts and researchers. Scores must be carefully interpreted and responsibly related to parents, students, and decision makers in the field of education. we're starting? Don't put this stuff on it. For real. I'm serious.
Yeah, it's
Give me
not
your
on
word.
there. Yeah, but we need to start because we're rolling.
Okay, can we?
But there are 3 types of testing and 2 types of assessments, so you did,
Tests are assessments.
well, they're separated here, so.
Are you assessing the test?
All right,
Effectiveness?
let's just keep going, okay? All right.
Okay. Wait, I
National.
I just want to see what's wrong.
Do you want to dance, Evan?
Yeah, do you want to dance? You want to switch?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I do want to dance. How did you know?
Get it! I'm like into the bird thing today. I don't know why. I just like.
Okay. I'm ready.
Finally, the publisher administers the test to establish norms. When the test is ready, the publisher launches